if that uncomfortable situation that you're in right now isn't a punishment, but a push? What if it's exactly what you need right now to grow? Now, I've learned this the hard way more times than I can count. Good morning, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee Reflections. For those who don't know me, my name is Kevin, and I'm a life transformation, wellness, and mindset coach. Today's reflection is I had to make you uncomfortable, otherwise, you never would have moved. This is a note from God. What if that uncomfortable situation that you're in right now isn't a punishment, but a push? What if it's exactly what you need right now to grow? Now, I've learned this the hard way more times than I can count. I've been homeless not once, but twice. Been kicked out of my home. I've been fired from jobs, including a 6 years dedicated to corporate America most recently. And every single time, felt like life was falling apart. But really, it was pushing me to move forward. So I want to go over a few things with this reflection. So again, the reflection for today is I had to make you uncomfortable, otherwise you never would have moved. This is a note by God. Growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. I think everybody knows that. The act of discomfort forces us to face things we'd rather ignore. An example, losing the job I had at corporate America for 6 years felt like the end, but it was actually the doorway for creating Humble Beginnings, which is my business and my service for coaching, my personal brand, and just this journey that I'm going into by creating content and trying to help others transform their lives, their wellness, and their mindset. And I believe that most of us don't change until staying in the same place becomes just unbearable. In hindsight, as much as it hurt to lose a job that I had been pouring my blood, sweat, and tears into for years, in hindsight, I really was miserable. I didn't align with the people that I worked with. They didn't align with me. It was just all in all a poor fit for both ends. And I found myself becoming bitter every day. I was just very bitter. Dumb shit. I'd be driving and I would get bitter about the pothole that just happened to cross my path. Or I would be bitter that every time I went into the kitchen, I bumped my hip against the corner of the wall or of the table. Dumb shit, right? Most of us don't change until staying in the same becomes unbearable, right? I tend to learn the hard way, sometimes not just twice or 3 times, but several times before the lesson for me clicks. When life shakes you up, whether this is life or God, it will shake things up for when you've grown too comfortable. My pop-up, if you don't use it, you lose it. And I think that's true for our bodies, our potential, and our individual growth. Back in the day, I had lived with him for a short period of time, and I noticed, I was younger, but I noticed that him and my Grammy, they wouldn't really go out much. They wouldn't go for walks. They really wouldn't leave the house much. And they were in their 70s and 80s. At the time, it just seemed normal, right? And I remember asking him, why don't you guys get out of the house a little bit more? Why don't you go for a walk or something? And his answer was the same. If you don't use it, you lose it. And we lost it. I didn't understand what that meant until I got older. And myself included, I had a situation where I wasn't using my body properly, so my body would not reward me properly. And I remember probably like 7, 8 years ago now, I just was not taking care of myself. I was drinking 4 of those big Red Bull cans every single day. I was addicted to coffee, but not this coffee. I was addicted to sugar water, basically. I was addicted to lattes and overloading the creamer inside of my coffee. And I didn't work out at the time. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't stay active. And one day I think I was hopping off of a staircase or something, just something silly. And my leg just completely gave out. No idea why. And then shortly after that, I tried to jog, and again, my leg would give out on me. I had no idea. There were no reason to why my leg all of a sudden stopped working. So for 5 years, I resisted, or I should say, I didn't allow myself to push myself forward. I didn't allow myself to try to do anything active. I just ignored it. And then so what ended up happening as a result of that, I ended up gaining about 50 or 60 pounds over the course of the 5 years, became pre-diabetic, and had to take a bunch of prescription medications for all of my conditions. So when you don't use it, you lose it. I think the hardest lessons often realign us with our purpose. For example, when I was homeless or even jobless, it's not just a hardship, it's a way that life is steering me towards my true calling in coaching. Being homeless, I feel like now in hindsight, was the adversity that I had to face in order to gain true life experience, to be able to give back to those that are seeking help, to physically show through my own action how someone can transform their life, their wellness, and their mindset. Because in the case of being homeless, the first time that this happened was when I was younger. I was in my early 20s. I was unfortunately addicted to opiates and heroin, basically. That obviously caused a lot of pain in my life, a lot of poor decisions, and ultimately left me without a pot to piss in. That was a really hard awakening. For me at the time, I never realized what that was like. I never understood that was even an option until it was gone. So if you don't use it, you lose it. And that includes family, that includes connections, that includes your brain. If you don't use your mind, you're going to lose your mind. And instead of asking, why me, I then had to shift my perspective, my question to myself of, what is this teaching me? Because clearly I'm doing something wrong. You don't just end up homeless out of air. You burn bridges. And that's what I did. Unfortunately, I had to learn that the discomfort wasn't there to break me. It was there to build me. And that experience then turned into, again, another experience of being homeless about 5 or 7 years later, where that time around, it actually had nothing to do with drugs or anything against the law, anything illegal, but more so just poor decisions prior to that, right? I wasn't wise with my money. Again, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I wasn't wise with my money. I wasn't wise with my decisions for strategy, for developing a savings, a backup plan, all the things that people tell you that just goes in and out of your ears if you're just not ready to hear it, right? And so what I learned is staying comfortable feels safe, but it often leads to stagnation. And thinking back, I can't tell you how many times my life made me uncomfortable right before a major breakthrough. So the last time that I was homeless, I had actually gotten my job at corporate America, the one that I just lost. I had gotten that job while being homeless, towards the end of my run of being homeless. Little did anybody know when I got hired that A, I was homeless, and B, I had actually applied for, I think, like 300 something jobs. And it wasn't until I got a call back from this company over something I applied for 3 months prior. So this was 3 months of being homeless and applying to hundreds of jobs. It was exactly what I needed at that time in my life. It helped me, in hindsight, it helped me build a savings. It helped me invest into stocks, bonds, and ETFs. It helped me develop, again, a retirement fund. And that ultimately was what helped me now. after I lost the job with corporate America last year. If it wasn't for that job to help me develop savings, investments, and backup plans financially, that was the lesson that I learned from the previous time. So the last time I was homeless, I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have a strategy. I didn't have a pot to piss in. Now, I now have that backup plan from the second time of being homeless, which is now affording me the ability to not feel like I have to go begging for jobs and begging for work. I have money and resources that are able to afford me the opportunity to build and develop and fund my dream, which is essentially becoming an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, building a business from scratch, developing an online presence, and ultimately helping others and serving other people to help them transform their life, wellness, and mindset. I encourage you to, whenever you're going through hardship, whenever you're going through stagnation, if you are feeling stagnant, buckle up. God, life will humble you. And B, when life and God humbles you, instead of asking yourself, why me, shift your question to, what is this teaching me? Because discomfort isn't here to break you, it's there to build you. And so think back, how many times has life made you uncomfortable right before a major breakthrough? And so I think the hidden cost of comfort feels safe, but often leads to stagnation. So I challenge you, what opportunities are you missing because you're too comfortable to move? Faith in the process. Even when things feel chaotic, there's often a bigger plan at work. Faith, whether that's in God, life, or yourself, will help you navigate through the darkest and most uncomfortable seasons. Excuse me. But I will encourage people, if anybody's listening to this and watching this, do not wait for life to force you to move. Seek out discomfort as a sign that you're growing, right? Where in your life are you resisting the discomfort you need to grow? I would challenge everybody listening and watching this to think about that. Because the universe requires balance. So, in other words, when things seem to be going well, or stagnant, or not bad, buckle up. Things are about to shift on you. And then flip side, or the opposite side of that coin, also works. When things seem to be going to shit, get ready. God's about to, life and God, whatever you believe in, it's about to shift you into something more positive, a better situation, a better future. So that's one way you can think of life and faith when things aren't going well. Discomfort isn't the enemy, it's the catalyst. I've been homeless, fired, and faced more failures than I can count, but every single time, that discomfort forced me to move, grow, and align with my purpose. If this reflection resonated with you, please drop a comment below and let me know how your discomfort has shaped your life. I hope the rest of your week is as good as this cup of coffee. I hope you got something from today's reflection, and I hope you were able to just take a moment to pause and just quiet and silence the chaos that's going on in the world, which is a lot right now. Stay humble, stay focused, and I'll see you next Monday. Take care.